Today I wanted to talk about, I've been watching a bit more of The Witcher, Season 3, and I kind of wanted to talk about some stuff I was noticing. I do enjoy, I was a big fan of Witcher 3, as kind of everybody was, and I also read or listened on audio to the books, and I enjoyed the books a lot. Probably not my favorite, and there's plenty of things that I personally would change. But there's a rule that you have to follow when adapting books, which is it must be you either have to copy or do something better, basically. And that is the rule because you don't really have an excuse if you do something worse because you're literally adapting a show. So if you literally just copied what the books did, then your show would be the books basically, and all the people who like the books will like you and everything is fine. But if you want to deviate from it, you need to do something better, because if you don't, then not only have you made something worse, but you're also dumb for it. So this is kind of one thing that I've noticed throughout the show, and this is probably kind of what adds to kind of like almost a comical aspect or a bit frustrating to it to know. I kind of gave up on the show after season 2 pretty handily. I think a lot of people did, with good reason. But with season 3, kind of one thing I've noticed is basically that the show has successfully managed to convince me of is that all of their characters are stupid. And this comes into play in an interesting way because in characters, in stories, what I usually like to think of this is all relative measurements I'm going to give them. We've got here and here. So level 1, 2, and 3. And these are the type of problems you can have for level 1, level 2, and 3. Again, these are relative. These are random ones that I'm just pulling out of a hat. So I'm just kind of making these up more or less. So these are nothing special, basically. And what these are is basically just relatively difficult. So, you can think fighting one person at level 1, fighting two person level 2, fighting three people level 3. This could also be how to, let's say, save my marriage. Let's see, that's the question. Save my marriage. Basically from here. So this is the question. Level 1 is, let's say, obvious, spend time with spouse. Okay, that's the obvious. Clearly. This one is a bit more. Let's say, so this is an obvious one. This is usually a problem where the audience can immediately see what the problem is. This is kind of your typical rom-com when the girl sees the guy and his childhood friend, in a compromising situation. She runs away and their relationship is seemingly in tatters. What's the solution? Have an adult conversation and then move on with your life. It's a very level 1 problem. And then we've got a level 2 here, which would be, let's see, what would a level 2? Level 2 would be, we'll go with, let's see, learning better time management. Let's see, we'll go with this. Yeah, time management. Management, and to sacrifice for the good of your family, which then helps your wife, basically, or something like that. Right? Level 3, so basically it's not as obvious. So basically, given a situation, it's actually harder. You're spending time with your wife, but there's still problems that's happening in the level 2 problem. So basically it's more complex. Level 3 could be even harder, or it may be something akin to, let's see, resolving past demons or something like that. Past demons. Let's see, take a chance and get a new job. It could be something pretty out of the box. I'm kind of basically making it up as I go along here. But basically what it is the idea is that as the problems get more and more complex, it's less obvious what the solution is for it. And this is the main thing that you want for the audience, because your audience will not respect somebody who has a hard time solving an easy problem. And this is kind of the problem that we're running into with The Witcher 3. It's basically no one seems to know what they're supposed to do. No one seems to have a plan. Everyone seems really weak. basically everyone seems really kind of incompetent, more or less, from what I can gather, basically. And this is kind of the problems that you run in with then, is if you don't have complex problems, you can't have complex characters solve them. If you have obvious problems, it's kind of like the superhero and the villain. You know, if you're going to have somebody kill, defeat the dinosaur, basically, from here, defeat the dinosaur of, some size, basically, you have to draw my dinosaur here. Draw him like that. Basically, if you're going to have how dangerous is this dinosaur, and this determines how heroic the hero is, basically, from here. I always draw shields like really far away from the body. I don't know why I'm able to do this. Okay, so how heroic he is determined by how difficult it is to defeat this monster, basically. So if it's really easy, he's not very heroic. If it's very difficult, he's very heroic. Simple equation, simple as that. So what this does, though, for a story, if you have a situation where everyone seems to be dumb, is basically it really changes the problems you can have, because you can't have very complex problems, basically, from here. And this is kind of where it gets to be, you run into some series of issues, because basically then your villains can't be too smart, more or less, because in your characters, let's see, well, you kind of run into a few things. So if you have dumb people, you have to have dumb problems, or fake solutions. What do I mean by a fake solution? So basically, if someone is dumb and they can't do math and somehow they're able to do math, basically what you chalk it up to is that it doesn't seem realistic. So not realistic. This is equivalent to, let's go over here. We've got our army here. So we've got one guy versus 50. This is our dumb problem, or dumb situation, basically. If this one guy kills the 50 people, it is not realistic, basically. Because we understand, hey, one person defeating 50 people is it's not going to happen. Not even in a fantasy world, it's just not realistic. So what do we have to do to make this problem seem more realistic? We have to even the odds. We have to make this guy really strong. We could make him, super, super strong, super buff, basically. We could make him magical. We could do this. We could give him more people. So basically, maybe it's 40 guys versus 50. This basically is, as the odds basically seem to even out in some way, then it seems more realistic. Otherwise, one guy defeats 50 people, it goes, okay, he's got plot armor, this is dumb, this is just a dumb story. It makes no sense. For some reason these people are supposed to, and then also it makes these people seem very weak, basically, because if the one, again, goes back to here, our hero, if the monster is defeated by an idiot, it's an idiot monster. You either have dumb problems or fake solutions, and you want to avoid all of these. So to kind of go over to The Witcher and kind of talk about my gripe with everyone here is, let's start with the elves here. We have Phil and Francesca. And the biggest problem too is that when you've got something at the books, you're constantly in the mind of the books and the games. You have the smarter version of the characters staring over the shoulder, basically. Let's see. Staring over your shoulder. There's a shoulder. Basically from there. Staring over your shoulder. Oopsie. There we go. Yeah, so we got Phil plus Francesca. They're hunting after Ciri. I have no idea why. It seems kind of stupid. Basically, they are losing, and Gallatin, which is actually a city in my state, Gallatin seems to be the only smart one, and basically from there. So basically, his job is to make these people look like idiots. These are supposed to be really wise elves. They have no plan. They don't know how to run an army. They don't know how to do anything. Basically, they're just losers. Basically, they are losers. because they're getting outsmarted by a regular guy. This is kind of one of my gripes with the book characters, but they were at least had some semblance of being a little bit smarter. But they're chasing after Ciri, and basically they're not close at all. Like, not even a little bit. And it's just like, what is their plan? They have Ciri, and then what? Basically, it seems stupid. All right, the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood is just there. And basically, I was watching episode 3, so where you have, I think, Rita and... Crap, I can't think of the other one's name. Let me see. Type in my computer real quick. Sorceress names. All right, who we got? Fringilla. I think it's Fringilla. Yeah. No, Fringilla's the other one. Margarita. Kira? I think it's Kira. Margarita and Kira, and they're in that bath. Both Margarita and Kira seem really, really dumb, actually. They're just really dumb. They're vain. They're alcoholic. They're just dumb. They don't really have any sort of sophistication to them. They haven't proven that they're anything as far as anything worthy of being taken care of. Scoia'tael is... she's okay. We'll put her in the okay bucket. She's not quite dumb, but she's okay. She doesn't really seem to be in control of anything, though. Basically, nobody has a plan. Nobody's got a plan in the Brotherhood as far as what we should do. All we see them do is fighting Stregobor like a complete dick. So we don't really care about him. And if he's represented, the fact that he's on and as a member of the Brotherhood that people seem to somewhat maybe listen to even slightly amount, he's really dumb. Vilgefortz is a failure. He lost a sword fight. So Vilgo's a failure, in my opinion. When a mage loses a sword fight, you are a failure. He is also a loser, because you're asking, well, it's reasonable that a mage would lose a sword fight. They're not trained in swords, they're trained in magic. And my point is, exactly. Like, it should have been Kair draws his sword, Vilgefortz goes bazam, and it's the end of the fight. Yen has no plan. Her no plan and her is to schmoozy up to these people, but then at the same time, she also hates all the Brotherhood because she thinks they're vain, alcoholic, and dumb. Man, how about that? But the problem then is that she has a plan, and she has a plan to schmooze up to them, and it's a terrible plan because she hates it. She herself hates it, and Ciri hates her for having the plan. Basically, it's just, I don't know, it just is dumb. Like, it's just dumb. Yen has no control of any situations. She's, constantly, she's an emotional wreck. Basically, what we got here, the Yennifer of this story is more or less is the Yennifer of 20 years old, basically. It's not the Yennifer of, like, I don't know, 100, 200, 400, whatever she is in the books, basically, where she has a lot more control, a lot more poise, a lot more confidence. She's constantly manipulating Geralt. Like, the Yen in this one just has no idea what the plan is. She has no idea who she is or what she wants. And that's fine, because the show didn't really give her much of a chance. So that's fine. That's where we're at. Triss, nobody knows what Triss is doing, least of all Triss. She's just kind of there. Nobody really, I don't even know why she's in the story. She's just kind of there. The North is really dumb as well. Philippa, I don't really know what her plan is, but it seems to be dumb. Because basically what it is you've got Vizimir, and he is an airhead. And they are having trouble, Philippa and Dijkstra, having trouble manipulating him. Dick and Phil, basically are having trouble manipulating him. The problem is that he's an airhead. And when you have problems manipulating an airhead, you look even dumber. And this is kind of what they run into. Now, I know they have some plan to, like, murder the queen, which seems wholly unsophisticated. The spy master doesn't know of meetings going on. And the spy master has to be told of secret meetings going on by Radovid. Like, this is beyond, like, he's dumb. Like, I don't respect Dijkstra. He has to get tied up and whipped in order to have, what the heck was going on with that scene? Like, I don't really know. Like, it basically kind of seems more like the showrunners are like checking off kink boxes or something like that. They're like, yeah, we need to have these things. We really need to have a lot more, BDSM scenes in The Witcher, and that is going to make us more popular, stuff like that. Also, I have no idea what the point of the sex scenes are in this show. Like, it just, I don't know. Maybe I'm old and cranky, but it just seems bad. Like, the quality is just really, 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 really bad. Nilfgaard, we got Nilfgaard down here. Kair, he's a failure. But it could have worked out. Like, again, I'm not quite sure how his redemption is going to happen after he basically does wholesale slaughter in season, 1. So basically what they're going to do is they're going to try and do the whole thing where the guy, slaughters a whole bunch of people, but then he's really got a nice guy and he had a rough childhood, and he's misunderstood. But he's not that bad. I really don't know what their plan with him is going to be. He murders Gallatin at the end of episode 3. He's not that cool. He's just kind of there. Like, he's just there. The only one who seems to have a plan is Mr. Emir? Yeah. The problem is, and this is the problem I even had in the book, is I have no idea why he's so scary. Like, he's got a bunch of armies, in my opinion, and that makes him kind of scary. But he seems to have a plan. But he's the villain. So it's like everyone else is just dumb. And this is kind of the problem where I was just basically what I was kind of starting off with. This is everyone seems dumb. Like, everyone seems dumb. There's no plan. Nobody has any actions. Nothing. And I just want to contrast this with a strong character. Let's take a strong character. One of my favorite strong characters is Mr. Jason Bourne. Jason Bourne. What happens? The whole story is basically Jason Bourne gets in a compromising situation, and because he's smart, he's strong, creative, he comes up with all these creative things to do. We're waiting to see what he does. Wanting to see what he does, and this also means we can throw him into really complicated problems and situations. So we can throw him in the middle of an embassy and have everyone try and chase him down. We can do this, we can have him try and hardwire a car, we can have him, be a sniper, trace down somebody, swip the SIM cards and the phones or whatever he does in order to listen in on the secret police when they're trying to track him. He can speak multiple different languages. He can drive a car. He can drive, he can immediately scope out a place. He can run half a mile before his hands start to shake. Like, all this stuff basically where he has proven to us that he's a cool, very creative guy. And so what it does is he's able to drive the storyline. We're allowed to have very complicated problems, in which case he can then solve them basically from here. So and that's the other thing, Dijkstra's plan to just murder the queen. Like, he's supposed to be a spy master. Like, I understand murdering is not above him, but it's just like he's supposed to be like the master manipulator spy master. Like, you can't manipulate somebody, you just have to murder. Like, I don't know, it's just a dumb plan. Like, he's just dumb. Like, Dijkstra is not a force to be reckoned with. Again, he has trouble manipulating an airhead, more or less. Like, this is what it is. It's just like, if you fail to manipulate an idiot, then this is your problem. Then you are also an idiot. And this is kind of how we've got it. The only one who's somewhat strong in this is Geralt, because his plan is to go and kill. That's his plan. Go and kill. And he's going to kill whatever's in his way. He's going to go there. Again, that's the one where it kind of seems like the plot is working against him, where it kind of pulls him away from Riance and basically says, yeah, I know you have your sword. I know Riance is right there. And I know you can kill him in like 10th of a second. Like, so easily. That was what we went over last video on, just talking about how stupid the whole thing was. But what you run into here is all these people have dumb plans. And so it just makes the stakes are, low. Basically, we've got low stakes. I'm not interested in the story. I'm not interested in the characters. I don't care. this question. They failed this one. This is what I talked to the last one. What happens next? The biggest question is you must have the audience asking what happens next. And if the audience isn't asking this, then you're failing because then they're bored. And if they're bored, then your show is dead. Hashtag guess what's going to happen to season 4. If we even make it there. I'm honestly surprised that they're still trying to keep this, whip this dead horse going. Because this show is not going to survive, basically, from here. And so this is kind of the problem that I wanted to talk about with this idea of basically different problem levels. Is you can't have... Now, these problems, some of them are not immediately knowable by the audience. I don't necessarily know what the plan for the elves is. Like, I don't know what they should do. They're outgunned, all this, out that, and the other. The problem is I can obviously see that their current plan seems really dumb. Like, it just seems dumb. They're going to find Ciri. Like, why would Ciri help them? There's all these problems with their current plan. Like, they're constantly, they're starving. This is what all Gallatin's pointing out. They're starving. They're dying. They have no food. Basically, what's their plan once they get Ciri? Just Ciri... equals profit. Step 3, profit. Is this the plan? Is this the plan, basically? I understand they're in a tight spot, but their current plan is just dumb. Like, basically, it's one of those things. But it's like one thing if they built up a base, they have a fortress, they start trade, they start growing crop, they start doing something to continue to grow, to feed themselves, or rely on, Ymir. They have no plan. Their plan is basically just to, and Francesca, she seems completely, they're just completely manipulated by Ymir. They have no idea what's going on. It's just really dumb. The Brotherhood is full of idiots. Like everyone, Scoia'tael is the only one who seems to have half a brain, but she has no idea what they're supposed to be doing. They have no plan against Nilfgaard. There's no unity. Everyone in there is just dumb. That's the other thing, is the problem. It's just like, it would have been one thing if, Stregobor was really powerful and really smart and also a horrible person, but he's just a horrible person. End of story. And so what you run into with a show like this, where you have this, is basically you've got just a whole bunch of characters with problems, and you have dumb problems, basically, because the solutions the characters are coming to is just, nobody's buying it. Nobody's really thinking that they're working. This is kind of a Jason Bourne, basically, as I was doing. It's like, imagine if Jason Bourne was like, listen, I'm going to walk up to the, Treadstone offices and just shoot them with a pistol up the front door. This is the kind of plan that we're working with, basically. We're going to find the guys by taking it out on Craigslist. We're going to get your computer hacker buddy to hack the Pentagon, hack the mainframe, and get it's dumb characters, dumb problems, or fake solutions. And this is what they're going to run into. Is basically, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's probably going to be something where they're going to shoehorn some solution where suddenly the character who's been weak and dumb and incompetent the entire show suddenly manages to pull together at the right moment, and cha-ching, success. And I don't think it's going to work. I just don't think it's going to work. Again, you need to have more heroic problems in order for your characters to be seen as the heroes. This is what you need to have happen, more or less, for it. And I don't think that the show's doing a good job of that. So, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see y'all in the next one.